Green flag at the back, red flag goes away. Can Lorenzo being put back in that dislocated problem? Right, this is that goes away. Can Lorenzo make one of those special starts? Here we go in Aragon.
Lorenzo did make a good start, so did Marquez, but Marquez has dropped back a few places. Lorenzo's going to get the whole shot. Iannone up the inside of Marquez. Polispargo holding fourth place. Iannone has crucially got into second place. Great chance now for Lorenzo to make his break.
Lorenzo will be at it now. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Great start by Lorenzo. Not the start you wanted to see from what Marquez wanted to see. And Iannone, despite that dislocated shoulder, up into second place on the Ducati.
Yeah, Marquez looked like he got an initial good launch off the line. He's up the inside of Iannone at turn number 7. He's got to make a move pretty quick as the 22-year-old Spaniard. Otherwise, Jorge Lorenzo will be long gone into the distance. Dani Pedrosa now up into 4th place ahead of Polispargo. There's Valentino Rossi still in 6th place under pressure from Aleix Espargaro.
Marquez has done it through turn 8, now 9, this long succession of left-handers. Lorenzo where he wants to be, in the sunshine. But Marquez has got into second place. He will give it absolutely everything to prevent Lorenzo getting away at the front.
Rossi was having a look up the inside of Polispargaro down into turn number 12. Rossi has made that move. Rossi up into 5th place. Marquez was a little bit wide going on the braking zone down into turn 12. This is music to the ears of Jorge Lorenzo. He's won all of his 5 Grand Prix this year from start to finish. Is he going to make it a Super 6th?
This is where he would like the flag to come out here and now. Boy, Lorenzo, this is the dream result for him. Of course, we've got a long way to go. 340 kilometers an hour, 215 miles an hour as they break down to 3rd gear into turn 16.
I was just going to say what we were talking about earlier on. Lorenzo to complete the first lap. Marquez looked like he got a good initial launch, and then it looked like when he went to click 2nd or 3rd gear, it had a problem because he did just drop back slightly, and Andrea Iannone swept up the inside. So Lorenzo leads. Valentino Rossi, this is what happens when you start on the 2nd row of the grid. Rossi mired back down in 5th. He's already over 2 seconds behind Lorenzo.
Yeah, not the start obviously he wanted. And certainly he didn't want the Ducati, and he certainly didn't want Dani Pedrosa there. He probably expected that the Honda of Marquez wouldn't be there.
I think the best Valentino Rossi would have anticipated before this race was to finish behind Lorenzo and Marquez, limit the damage as much as he possibly can. He's closing up now on this battle for 3rd place between Andrea Iannone and Dani Pedrosa. Here's Lorenzo Marquez coming through turn number 9. Dylan.
Well, yeah, it looks like Iannone's actually doing Rossi a favour, holding Pedrosa up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what everybody feared, didn't they? And you know, how long will that shoulder last? Yeah, there's adrenaline there. We say he's so brave, but it's not going to be easy. We ride with Rossi. Rossi desperate to get by Dani Pedrosa in front of him. Not able to do so. Marquez is out. Marquez has crashed out of the race for the 2nd year in succession here in Aragon. Marquez out, 21 and a half laps to go.
He was just closing in on Jorge Lorenzo. He's absolutely furious with himself. Marquez, this is down into turn number 12. The front end just washing away from Marquez. That's the 5th race crash, believe it or not, of 2015 for the reigning world champion. Jorge Lorenzo now well clear of Andrea Iannone, Dani Pedrosa and Valentino Rossi fighting for 2nd. There we go, the message clear and crystal to Jorge Lorenzo. Marquez out.
Is he happy to see that sign or is he not? It's one way he's happy because Marquez's main rival is out, but 2 is pushing Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi could still profit very well in this race because he will give it absolutely everything as we ride with him to get past Pedrosa and Iannone.
Not that Valentino Rossi needed any incentive to get by Pedrosa and Iannone, but now he knows with that man there, Marquez, out of this race on lap number 2, that if he can get in front of Pedrosa and Iannone, Pedrosa on the inside of Andrea Iannone at turn number 7, if Rossi can fight his way to the front of this battle, he'll only be losing 5 points to Jorge Lorenzo.
I tell you what, after looking at qualifying and after looking at practice, that would be a massive boost for Valentino Rossi. We ride with Dani Pedrosa. In his face is Andrea Iannone. Just going to glimpse then. We're back now with a Valentino Rossi. Rossi closing up on his great friend Andrea Iannone. This is where Iannone had a really big crash just about there. last year when he got onto the wet grass. No wet grass this time round. Don't forget, he's still having major problems with that left shoulder. As the race progresses, it will not be easy for Andrea Iannone.
Yeah, I hate to say it, we're only on, lap number 3, but this race, in terms of the victory battle, is over as a contest because Jorge Lorenzo is already 2.3 seconds clear now of Dani Pedrosa. Valentino Rossi, he'll have the paint blown off by that Ducati down this long back straight. Here is the race leader, Jorge Lorenzo. Marc Marquez crashed in Argentina, crashed in Mugello, crashed in Barcelona, crashed in Silverstone and out of the race yet again. Unbelievable drama from the world champion.
2.3 seconds there telling him, yeah, 2.3 seconds it is for Jorge Lorenzo, but it's the battle for third place that is crucial as far as this World Championship campaign goes. We ride with Rossi. He seems to just be biding his time a little bit at the moment because he knows that he has got time. He knows Marquez is out of the race. Now he closes right up on his great friend Andrea Iannone. No friendship there. Rossi moves into third place.
Great move on the inside of Iannone at turn number 4. Next in his sights for Valentino Rossi's Dani Pedrosa. This is where Rossi crashed in the race last year, up at turn number 7. That crash by Marc Marquez, that's really not done a favour to Jorge Lorenzo because he might have been thinking, well, if I can win this race, I can pick up, 9 points back at least on Valentino Rossi. It's 14 points the gap at the moment with Rossi putting pressure now on Dani Pedrosa. It could be back up to 18.
Yeah, just look at the situation when Marquez was running and where Valentino Rossi is. It's certainly pulling in the way of the 36-year-old 9 times world champion.
I'll tell you what as well, Nick, Marc Marquez has made some big mistakes in 2015, but the way he reacted after crashing up at turn 12 on that lap, he was absolutely livid with himself. I won't want to be in that Repsol Honda garage when Marc Marquez gets back.
Right with Valentino Rossi, Dani Pedrosa in front of him. Honda probably just have that little bit more grunt as they come out of turn 15. Rossi can bide his time as long as he doesn't come under any sort of challenge from Andrea Iannone. Down to 3 gears. Seamless gearboxes into turn 16. He's doing it again, isn't he, Valentino Rossi? He's minimising the damage all the time.
These are a massive 4 points, though, for Valentino Rossi in terms of the World Championship. Nobody will need reminding more than the 36-year-old. He knows if he can find a way by Dani Pedrosa, it will be a crucial 20 points because Jorge Lorenzo's long gone up the road. 2.7 seconds now, the lead that Lorenzo has over Pedrosa. This is a good battle going on for 5th place, currently being led by Andrea Dovizioso. Great first few laps from Dovizioso. He started this race way down the order in 13th. He's already up to 5th, ahead of Aleix Espargaro, next Bradley Smith, Cal Crutchlow, Danilo Petrucci, and then Pol Espargaro back down in 10th place. Pol Espargaro's had a run off somewhere because on the last lap he did a 1:53.0. That was about 4 seconds off the pace, so there was a big mistake somewhere by the Tech 3 Yamaha rider.
Yeah, he was running with his brother, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Last time we saw it in the picture. So, Rossi, I'm not saying he's biding his time, but he knows what a vital 4 points this is. The lead at the front, 2.7 seconds from Jorge Lorenzo. Big news is that Marc Marquez, dare we say, has crashed out once again. I think we dare say it. Mistake by him at turn 12. We ride with Pedrosa. Rossi in his face, but there's a long way to go. 18.5 laps. Pedrosa is a race winner here. Pedrosa has finished a couple of times on the podium, half of the race victory. Rossi has only finished on the podium here once, and that's when Pedrosa had that crash with Marc Marquez 2 years ago.
Yeah, Rossi now's got a bit of clear daylight between himself and Andrea Iannone in 4th. The gap through that 3rd split up to 0.6 of a second. It would close up a little bit with that brutal horsepower of the Ducati GP15 down the straight. Here comes Jorge Lorenzo then to complete lap number 5. He's over the line now. Pedrosa under real pressure from Rossi. The gap between Lorenzo and Pedrosa in 2nd up to almost 3 seconds, 2.9 seconds. Andrea Iannone actually on that previous lap, just at his personal best lap of the race, he was 0.2 of a second quicker than Valentino Rossi. Here is Pol Espargaro, who's dropped back from 4th place in the early stages to 10th. And we'll find out why very shortly. Well, there you go.
Turn 7.
Yeah, runs off, missed his braking marker, and that cost him 6 places.
Now he's got to keep calm, hasn't he, Pol Espargaro? So he's got a great record here, qualified quite brilliantly in 4th place. Well, this is where Lorenzo likes to be. Don't say we'll never make a mistake when he's leading a race, because that is really putting the kibosh on it for him. But he is absolutely brilliant in these situations, as we've seen from those Grand Prix victories already this season.
That adrenaline kicking in for Andrea Iannone, because he has closed up ever so slightly on that battle for second place, still being headed by Dani Pedrosa, coming through turns 10 and 11, down in the braking zone to turn 12, where we saw all the drama. Marc Marquez crashing out on the second lap while he was fighting for the lead with Jorge Lorenzo.
The last thing Rossi needs or wants is Andrea Iannone coming back into it, isn't it? Because he just wants to concentrate fully on getting past Dani Pedrosa. We know what Andrea Iannone's like. Maniac Joe, he will go for it, and there is a sad sight. I don't think I've ever seen him so angry. I remember him in 2010, he got brought down on the first corner by Randy Krummenack, and we had a bit of a teenage tantrum in the middle of the track from Marc Marquez.
Yeah, I think if there was a microphone inside his helmet there, you'd have to be putting your fingers in your ears. The screaming and shouting was so loud, because it wasn't all of his 5 crashes this year as well, Nick. You have to say they've all been unforced errors, haven't they? You know, he's not been caught up in a tangle with anybody else. They've all been mistakes of his own doing.
Iannone is right in there again, isn't he? As I say, that's what Rossi does not want. Rossi perhaps feels it's time to make a move on Dani Pedrosa.
There was a crash for Alex De Angelis. He just got up the inside of Loris Baz at turn number 7. Front end washes away from the San Marino rider. That's game over for him. Let's have a quick check. Behind Polispargo and 10th, we've got Yoni Hernandez, Scott Redding, Stefan Bradl, Nicky Hayden, Eugene Laverty. That in the points is a really good fight actually going on for 13th place between Bradl, Hayden and Laverty.
Back at the front, Lorenzo opening up the advantage all the way through. This is the battle for second place. Dani Pedrosa still holding the advantage from Valentino Rossi. There you can see Andrea Iannone riding with that dislocated